After 13 years elsewhere, the Belgian Grand Prix returns to the historic 4.3-mile Spa-Francorchamps circuit, which rises and falls and twists and turns around a deep and heavily wooded valley in the beautiful Ardennes. With months of intensive work to carry out alterations to satisfy the needs of Grand Prix racing, including the building of a brand new sophisticated pits complex and paddock costing well over £1 million, Spa is not only a superb sight, but a supreme test for a Grand Prix driver's skills. And for round 6 of the 2 World Championships, it's really close at the top. 1981 champion Nelson Piquet leads the Drivers' Series, just 2 points ahead of Alain Prost, with Patrick Tambay 3rd, Keke Rosberg 4th, John Watson 5th and Niki Lauda 6th. In the Constructors' Championship, it's even closer. Ferrari lead Renault by a mere 2 points, with McLaren, Brabham and Williams tying for 3rd, another 2 points down. And after practice, pole position on the 26-car starting grid held by Alain Prost, alongside Patrick Tambay, with André de Cesaris 3rd, Piquet 4th, Arnoux 5th, Patrese 6th, Winkelhock 7th and Cheever 8th. Keke Rosberg at 9th is again the top non-turbo car driver, with Mark Surer 10th. Nigel Mansell's 19th, Watson 20th and Derek Warwick 22nd. This is the shortened 4.3-mile Spa circuit, but before it was 8.8 miles long, and the last Belgian Grand Prix there was won by the great Mexican driver Pedro Rodriguez in a BRM. Alain Prost in pole position on his Renault, much faster than the lap record, fastest in the wet and the dry. Second on the grid, Patrick Tambay, who has already won a Grand Prix this year, won one last year in Germany. Is he going to beat Prost into the first corner? And there, André de Cesaris is 3rd fastest after practice. The 1981 world champion Nelson Piquet, 4th fastest in his Brabham Turbo with the BMW engine. 42 laps to go, 16 cars to refuel, because they were all going to refuel those 16 if it's dry, and it is dry at the moment. And the Belgian Grand Prix is on, and de Cesaris sprints through from the 2nd rank and takes the lead at the first right-hander at La Source, followed by Alain Prost, and they're still getting away at the tail end of the grid. Probably they've had trouble with the lights, and Prost and de Cesaris go through. And now, where are the rest of them? We've had trouble at the start in a big way at the start of the Belgian Grand Prix.
Well, it looks like we've had a false start, because Prost and de Cesaris are busy racing, and Tambay and the rest of the field slowed down. The back markers didn't get away. We did not have a caption picture of the lights, so we're unable to tell you anything about what's going on, but certainly the rest of the field is not racing. Prost and de Cesaris are probably having terrific fun out on their own, because in that situation, a racing driver, when he sees the green light, goes and doesn't stop, so it looks like a huge mess up, as we say.
Now, there is the man who is going to stop de Cesaris and Prost as they come up to the grid for the second time. They're coming up to the chicane, and the black flag is being shown there. There is no doubt about the fact that the 42-lap Belgian Grand Prix is going to have to be restarted, because look at the gap. And it was, incidentally, I think Elio De Angelis was stuck on the grid, because it was definitely one of the black and gold John Player special cars that we were looking down on from above. So look now as the cars come through with the yellow flags waving to assemble for the restart. The tail enders coming up to complete the grid, with the Renault, which was to have started on the right, and to the pleasure of Jean Sage, the Renault team manager, was switched to the left. As you look at it, the right, as Prost sits on the grid at the last moment. That means to say he's got the best line for the first corner, the hairpin right-hander at La Source, And away they go for the second time, and De Cesaris has done it again. Incredible. De Cesaris streaks through, and he leads at La Source. Prost is second, Torbay is third, and Arnoux and Patrese lock wheels, but get away, and it looks to me, thank heavens, as though we've got a clean start, and they streak now down to Eau Rouge, and it's still Andrea De Cesaris, who the best he has done so far in Grand Prix racing was pole position at Long Beach last year, and the Alpha has been really flying here. They've got new turbochargers which have had a very beneficial effect on performance, and now they're up to Les Combes. Andrea De Cesaris, lap 1, leads in the Alpha. Prost is second, Torbay is third, Arnoux in the second Ferrari is in 4th position. Now, down past the Malmedy turn, on to Rivage.
Well, fantastic start by De Cesaris. He really threaded the camel through the eye of the needle there at the start, because Prost and Torbay were closing that gap, and he still managed to squeeze through. He was moving beautifully off the line. The Alfa engine must have a very good pickup to do that. And in the meantime, Patrese and Arnoux, who both are known not to be frightened of a bit of bumping, were bumping and things, but they got away with it. They appeared to be, if not bumping hard, they were leaning on each other. But now the field is all in line of turn. We've spread out to settle down, and they're going sweeping away around this really very picturesque circuit.
Into and out of Blanchimont on lap 1 in this, now we are told 41 lap race, and we're checking on that. It's been reduced by a lap from 42 to 41, and coming up towards the chicane. De Cesaris pulling away from Alain Prost. De Cesaris in the Alfa Romeo. What a lovely shot, looking down through the forest as he comes up to the chicane, and it is De Cesaris the leader. Prost is second. Torbay is third, Arnoux is fourth. Now into the sweeping left-hander, past over the grid and down to La Source on lap 2. It is the 23-year-old Italian Andrea De Cesaris. Prost and Arnoux has closed right up to Patrick Torbay in 4th position. Nelson Piquet is in 5th position, and Manfred Winkelhock has moved up in the ATS into 6th place, and it looks like the second Brabham BMW of Riccardo Patrese in 7th place, in which case he has really pulled up through the field. Lap 2 out of 41.
Well, a big test for Andrea De Cesaris, who has matured quite spectacularly over the last year as a driver. He's settled down and steadied down from his disastrous first season in Formula One racing, where he crashed more times than he raced, and literally, and with practice and everything else. And his career was very much written off by a lot of the serious commentators, team managers, people in the business. But Alfa Romeo put faith in him, and Marlboro, Italy, I have to say, put a lot of faith in him. And it all started at Long Beach last year, but he's never put it together yet all the way. Now he's driving under the maximum pressure, leading a Grand Prix with the on-form Prost-Renault combination behind him, and that is a Brabham stop, and I can't read the number on it, and I can't see a driver around, so I'm afraid I can't tell you whether that's Piquet or Patrese. It's Patrese according to the caption. So Patrese is out of the race. We don't know why. It looks like a mechanical breakdown. The car appears undamaged.
There's the leader. This is lap 5, and the leader is number 22, De Cesaris. Prost in 2nd place, Torbay in 3rd, Arnoux in 4th, Piquet in 5th, Winkelhock in 6th position, then the first non-turbocharged car, that of Keke Rosberg, who is holding the turbos in sight. And the interesting thing is that Keke Rosberg started this race on a much harder grade of tyre than most of the turbo cars, in fact than all the turbo cars in front of him. And that is going to be very significant, and we have to wonder whether they've made the right choice of tyre. And there, number 30 is Thierry Boutsen, the Belgian, in his first Grand Prix, and that must be Baldi, because that's the second of the 2 Alfa Romeos. So Boutsen and Baldi, Boutsen the Belgian in his first Grand Prix, and Mauro Baldi, who didn't, unlike Andrea De Cesaris, have a very happy practice period, both in the pits very early on in the race. And there is John Watson. That's John Watson and Raul Boesel. It's Raul Boesel, the Brazilian driver, who is stopping, and they've obviously made contact. Watson and Boesel, that will affect John Watson very badly. Of course, he was down in 16th place, but he might have been making a charge later on.
Looks like Charrier's helmet to me, Murray. I'm sure it's Charrier, but that in some ways would be Charrier was behind Watson, and it would have to be very much in keeping with Charrier's recent form. He has acquired for himself this season, which is odd for a supposedly mature and established driver such as he's meant to be, a reputation for being very wild and uncooperative and almost sort of bad-tempered in the car. And it would look as if he has attacked Watson from the rear, or some sort of coming together in an overtaking manoeuvre, and that's most unfortunate for Watson. They're back to the leaders. There's the Cheslerus going through, slowly building his lead. He's up over 4 seconds now, and I think he'll be quite pleased to see the second place stay the same, because if anybody can get past Prost, it maybe they can go a bit quicker and set about chipping into that lead, because he's only developing it very little bit by bit.
Well, apologies to Boesel. I maligned him there, and the gap now is just about 5 seconds. I'm taking the gap between Keke Rosberg and the leader. It's only 9.7 seconds. There is Rosberg, and he is in 7th place, just out of the World Championship points, driving as usual, absolutely superbly. World champion last year, and therefore the reigning world champion, and he has shown his superb driving ability all through the season, and he's not dropping back at all from the turbocharged ATS BMW of Manfred Winkelhock, who is in 6th position. And I would be very surprised if all these 6 turbocharged cars in front of Keke Rosberg there, number 1, the world champion, finish the race, in which case we can expect to see Rosberg up in the points again, and he's in 4th place in the World Championship.
Yes, Rosberg's going magnificently, but he's got yet a further problem, of course, and that is one which I say can't honestly convert. Yes, and Winkelhock seems to have lost power. His car was misfiring badly. There was a funny noise, and that will be very pleasing for Rosberg, because he's gone through. There he is. And I was about to say that with Winkelhock's reputation, which I personally can't deny or confirm, but if it's as bad as he says, Rosberg would have found it a little bit like having to do battle against the tail gunner. But anyway, the tail gunner has now put himself out of commission. And Rosberg, now we will see. Rosberg was held up a bit of a gap's open, and now we can see how quickly Rosberg can close it, because that will be a pointer to us as to whether Rosberg is in fact potentially the fastest man on the circuit.
And it's Andrea de Cesaris going strong, is leading by 4.3 seconds now. And it's a pity, as far as Andrea de Cesaris is concerned, that there's this tremendous scrap for 4th, 5th and 6th places, because we're not seeing anything of him, and he's driving a magnificent race. And now is Piquet going to do it? Piquet changes place with René Arnoux, and we have a new 4th place man on lap 17. And now we're going to be able to see how much, if at all, René Arnoux was holding up Nelson Piquet. Yes, look at Piquet pulling away, and look at Keke Rosberg now doing to Arnoux what Piquet did, because Rosberg, in the leading 3-litre normally aspirated car, still in 6th position, has got a new 5th place man ahead of him, and Nelson Piquet is on his way. Now, I was about to say that it's extremely critical to Nelson Piquet that he move up through the field, because he's leading the World Championship with 21 points, and he is now in 4th position, and Rosberg is trying to take Arnoux, and in the 2nd place in the World Championship is Alain Prost with 19 points. Andrea de Cesaris, the leader, making his pit stop. Now, this is going to be absolutely critical. If the Alfa Romeo mechanics fumble it, de Cesaris There's the right front has been changed. Up go the pneumatic hammers. Down go the jacks. It's not a terribly good stop. In fact, it's a very bad stop. And they're having trouble with the fuel cap. And De Cesaris blasts out 25.3 seconds, and that's a bad pit stop.
Yes, and very slow on the left rear wheel as well. In fact, on the left front, they look to be, the chaps look to be almost pedestrian. But mind you, that's better than panicking, because that's how the real messes come in the pit stops. But that'll be De Cesaris will be very disappointed, but that may well throw him into a bit of a chase, and he's proved he's got the form to do some chasing. So the pit stops have started, and we can see it all start to change.
And I reckon that De Cesaris must now be down to 7th or 8th position. And there is Eddie Cheever that we were expecting to come in, who of course has moved up a place with De Cesaris having gone into the pits. That means to say that Cheever will be currently running in 6th place, and ahead of him Keke Rosberg in 5th position on lap 20. And with De Cesaris having finished his pit stop, Keke Rosberg or Jacques Lafitte will be coming in on this lap, and Keke Rosberg has got to beat a time of 25.3 to gain some time on the pit stop. And that is Manfred Winkelhock out of the race. He had trouble, he came into the pit, and it looks as though he's either overcooked his tyres or made a mistake. But anyway, he is off and out of the race on lap 21. He joins Riccardo Patrese, who is retired. He joins Boutsen. And now let's look at this. This is a replay of Winkelhock going off. Yes, look at his wheel. Right off comes Winkelhock's wheel, and the car, of course, spins completely out of control as the wheel goes on by itself, and he slams through the catch fencing and into the Armco. Manfred Winkelhock out of the race, and he was 6th. There is Tombay in the pits, and I can tell you that with Patrick Tombay into the pits, with Alain Prost not having made his stop, and due to do so at the end of the 22nd lap as Tombay leaves, there is the race leader, but we have a new second place man, Nelson Piquet, who is not due to come into the pits until the 26th lap and the last of the refuelers that we know about. But at the present moment, on lap 22, it is Prost leading. It is Piquet second. It is now De Cesaris is up into 3rd position, and in 4th place is Tombay, in 5th place is Arnoux, and in 6th place is Cheever. Confusing, isn't it? And now, as I talk to you, Jacques Lafitte has been displaced by a flying Derek Warwick, who is in 7th position in the British Tolman, but has yet, we believe, to make his pit stop.
Mighty confusing, and of course we won't get a real picture until such time as everybody's completed their stop and they've all gone out and settled down again.
And into the pit comes, now let's have a close look at this, it's Prost. Alain Prost, the race leader, is into the pits. He stops, and the digital readout starts, and I have started my stopwatch. How does his pit stop compare with Andre De Cesaris's, which was a very bad one, you will recall, when he was in the lead, 25.3 seconds, and the hammers go up and out goes Prost, 14.4 seconds.
Yes, excellent pit stop there by the Renault team, and you notice that they got the fuel in something like 8 or 9 seconds, and tire change was the hold-up.
Lap 24, René Arnoux in the Ferrari is out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Yet another crushing disappointment for the little Frenchman, who only finished 10th in Brazil, who was 3rd in Long Beach, no points in France, failed to finish at Monaco. It's Nelson Piquet on lap 24 who is leading from in 2nd position. Alain Prost, who's in the pits, of course, in 3rd position. De Cesaris, who will therefore have moved up a place.
Yes, but the point is that Prost has got out of the pits ahead of De Cesaris, as far as I can see, and that is interesting because he's picked up on the road what De Cesaris lost in the pits with his slow stop. So De Cesaris has got a battle. For the moment, ignore Piquet as the leader in a way, because although he's up there, he still hasn't made his stop.
And there is Piquet. Lap 26 is when he's due to come in, according to my information. He's just coming up to complete his 24th lap, and he's coming in. Here is Nelson Piquet then, leading the race, and Prost goes through and takes the lead. He was only 2 seconds behind Piquet. So as the Brazilian ex-world champion comes into the pit for what we expect to be, and usually is a superlatively good Brabham, well drilled, and look at that. That is absolutely sensational. Up go the hammers, but something is holding them. One of the wheels, and out goes Piquet, not particularly good. And it was about the same time as Alain Prost, and that means to say that Nelson Piquet, as we look at Alain Prost, the new race leader again on lap 25, Nelson Piquet is going to be about, I estimate, 12 seconds behind Alain Prost in the Renault. They are both, of course, on half loads of petrol now. They are both on new tyres. We've lost Andrea De Cesaris, who was in second position, some 8 or 9 seconds behind Alain Prost. There is Sullivan coming up to the chicane. By the way, his teammate Michele Alboreto is only down in 11th place. And on lap 26, as we wait to see who comes through in second position, we're at the chicane. We've seen Alain Prost, the race leader, through. Is it going to be De Cesaris? No, it's Piquet. De Cesaris is certainly missing. So Piquet on lap 26 is second. Torbay there, just behind him, is third. And there behind Torbay in fourth position is Eddie Cheever. So the two Renaults are in first and fourth position, as Piquet in second place and Torbay in third in the Ferrari come down to La Source on the 27th lap out of 41. Still a long way to go. Frenchman leads, Brazilian second. The Frenchman Patrick Tambay there is third position. In fourth place, American Eddie Cheever in fifth position. And going well is Keke Rosberg, and that means to say, that will be De Cesaris' car. There is De Cesaris' stricken Euro Alpha out for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. The car looks perfectly all right. Now they're going up to Les Combes, the highest point on the circuit. You can see how it overlooks the magnificent Ardennes countryside. But of far greater interest to Patrick Tambay is overlooking Nelson Piquet a bit closer, like overlooking his gearbox and then taking the chance to pull out and go past and take second position. But it's terribly important to Piquet that he should at least stay in second position, because now, if the first three finish in the same places that they are in on this, the 30th lap, in this 41-lap race, Alain Prost would take the World Championship lead by a mere 1 point. He's on his way to 9 points for victory. Nelson Piquet is on his way to 6 points for second place. And Patrick Tambay there is on his way to 4 points for third position. And Piquet has got past the Tyrrell. And that would lower the gap between himself and Prost. It would make the gap between himself and Prost 1 point. And currently, Nelson Piquet is 2 points ahead of the Frenchman. And the Frenchman has yet to win the World Championship. Tambay goes past. And it's Danny Sullivan, actually, not Michele Alboreto. Lap 31. Prost leads. Piquet that we look at second, Tambay that we look at third, Cheever in the background behind the green Tyrrell is fourth, Keke Rosberg and Jacques Lafitte fifth and sixth, Niki Lauda, who had a pretty dreadful practice on the first day, the Friday, is in seventh position, and here is Patrick Tambay on a replay, surging past Danny Sullivan, who is in 14th place. That's the man who finished fifth at Monaco. Now, here is a sensational development, and this really is something. We have had unofficial news that the Brabham team and Nelson Piquet is in second position are likely to be protesting the Renault cars. The reason for that is that Renault have revised the bodywork at the back of the car, allegedly to prevent the exhaust pipes from overheating the rear tyres, but I understand that the Brabham team think that this affects the aerodynamics against the rules of the Renault cars, and if that is true, and I emphasise that that is totally unofficial, but if that is true and we have it from a most authoritative source, there will be another one of these dreadful Formula One World Championship Grand Prix wrangles, and it could mean that if Alain Prost wins the race, he might lose that place, in which case he would lose his 9 points, in which case Nelson Piquet would be promoted to first position and would get the 9 points that Prost thought he had won. But all this is nevertheless hypothesis, albeit, I believe, very well informed and knowledgeable hypothesis. And look at that. Now you see the whole of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and you see why everybody who is here is so lyrical about it. Now there is Patrick Tambay in third position, and the gap between Piquet and Tambay, Piquet in the Brabham and Tambay in the Ferrari, is 3.2 seconds. And there, look at Tambay coming up to Les Combes, taking Alboreto, and Tambay now in second position. Patrick Tambay is second, and Piquet has dropped back. So, Prost leading, Piquet down to third position, and there you see the gap between Tambay and Piquet. So Patrick Tambay is very much going extremely well, and Nelson Piquet is clearly in some sort of trouble. And that is the McLaren pit, and that must be Niki Lauda. It is Niki Lauda in the pit, and that means to say that the battle, and Lauda is out. Niki Lauda, like his teammates, retires from the 1983 Belgian Grand Prix. His teammate John Watson are already out, and here is the new second place man, Patrick Tambay, chasing the Renault of Alain Prost. And where is Nelson Piquet? Not even in sight. 15 Prost leads, 27 Tambay second, 5 Piquet in third position, Chiva number 16 in fourth place, 1 Rosberg and 2 Lafitte. And there is Patrick Tambay. He is on his 36th lap in this 41-lap race. And now Prost is coming up to challenge Elio De Angelis, who is in ninth position in the turbocharged Renault-powered John Player Special. And Prost is catching him as they come up to Les Combes and going through. The Renault handles very, very much better than the JPS. In fact, Elio De Angelis has had another rather miserable weekend, not at all happy with the handling of his car. And Prost is away. He's on his 37th lap now. Piquet and Chiva down to La Source together at the end of their 37th lap. Piquet in third position, Chiva in fourth. And let's see how the young American, Eddie Chiva, in car number 16, 25 years old from Monte Carlo, in his 45th Grand Prix, deals with the 1981 world champion Nelson Piquet. On the right, the Brabham BMW, and past him. And surely Piquet's in real trouble, goes Eddie Chiva.
Well, he maybe have an engine cut-out problem through through left-handers or something. I was thinking maybe he's in brake trouble, because his engine sounded fine past us, and he went through Eau Rouge very quickly. So he's got some other problem. You see, he slowed right down there and just sailed straight past him. But he's not in a braking zone, but there was a slight left-hand kink, so very difficult to tell from our little perches.
And Prost still in the lead, with Tambay second, with now Eddie Chiva there in third position, with now Nelson Piquet in the background in the Brabham. There he is in fourth position. In fifth position, it's still Keke Rosberg. In sixth place, it's Jacques Lafitte. Seventh and eighth, the two Tolmans of Giacomelli and Warwick. Ninth is Elio De Angelis, who has been lapped, of course. 10th is Johnny Cicotto in the Theodore. 11th is Mark Fura. 12th is Danny Sullivan. And 13th is Brazil. 14th is Alboreto. And then those are the 14 competitors out of the 26 who started this race who are still in the running. Because out of the race have gone Niki Lauda, Nigel Mansell, De Cesaris, Arnoux, Fabi, and Patrese, of course. So Alain Prost, looking steady and smooth as ever. He is on his 39th 4.3 mile lap now, and it looks as though it's going to be another Renault victory, and Renaults have been driven to victory since they came into Grand Prix racing in 1977 with the first turbocharged car in the modern Grand Prix racing. They've been taken to victory by Jean-Pierre Jabouille, who won the French Grand Prix at Dijon, by René Arnoux several times. There you see 2 laps to go. That's the sign there, and Alain Prost will have seen it himself. And of course, Renaults have been driven to victory by the man you're looking at in the background now, Alain Prost. 39 laps completed, down to and round La Source, on his way to Eau Rouge, up to the Tyrrell, which he passes on the Tyrrell's right, on your left. Well, Renault's first and third, but is this protest going to happen? We have every reason to believe it does. If it happens, what will be the result? Because you can bet, particularly if the Renaults have finished first and third, that there will be a bitter, contentious and highly scientific wrangle about whether or not now maybe we'll look at the back of the car between the wheels where you can see the under tray. It's in black there, but you can see the under tray tips up, and Renault said that that was to allow the exhaust pipes to be repositioned and not to overheat the tires, which they said were running some 10 degrees hotter than they should do. But Brabham are saying, it is said, this gives you a boundary layer advantage with the airflow. It's all terribly scientific, and I don't pretend to understand it in detail myself, but I don't believe that Brabham would make a protest unless they thought they got a very good chance of making it stick. But now, on lap 40, the leader, Alain Prost, behind him, is far enough behind him not to be able to challenge him for victory in the Belgian Grand Prix unless something happens to Prost's car. Is Patrick Tambay in the Ferrari on his way to 6 points, question mark 9 points. Third position Chiva, fourth position Piquet, fifth position Rosberg, sixth position Lafitte. Into the chicane comes the race leader for the 40th time in this 41 lap race. He accelerates away up the tiny little straight into the right and the left over the grid. And when you see him come out of La Source and drop down the hill to Eau Rouge and cross the line, which he will do very shortly, he will be on his 41st lap, and he is on that lap. Now, he's won! He's won! The race has been shortened yet another lap for some reason. There has been some kind of a lap counting error. So a mysteriously shortened Belgian Grand Prix finishes with victory for Alain Prost, second place Patrick Tambay, third place Eddie Cheever, but those first and third places clouded by a possible controversy caused by an alleged likely objection by Brabham to the Renault cars. But fourth position, Nelson Piquet, fifth, Keke Rosberg, sixth, Jacques Lafitte, and in seventh and eighth places, Warwick and Giacomelli in the British Tolmans. And that means to say that Alain Prost now is leading the World Championship from Nelson Piquet, and in third position, Patrick Tambay. Fourth, Keke Rosberg, fifth and sixth, John Watson and Niki Lauda. It means to say that the Constructors' Championship at the present moment is led by Renault ahead of Ferrari, with Brabham and Williams tying in third position, McLaren in fifth place and Arrows in sixth.
Well, the rain may have held off for the Belgian Grand Prix, but regrettably it really has ended up in a high note of controversy. Let us deal with the start first of all. When Derek Ongaro, the official FISA starter, saw the competitors coming up to line up for the start, he felt that they were hanging back. He accordingly threw the switch to change the lights to yellow to hold the start. At that point, some of the people at the front, notably Andrew de Cesaris, mistook the light. He saw it change, he charged off, and therefore there was a full start. And as a result of that, it was necessary to reform the grid. Now let us deal with the controversy about the Renault cars, which finished first and third. The fact there is that there is undoubtedly going to be one and possibly two protests made. The first protest will be made on the aerodynamic grounds that I was talking about during my commentary. It is alleged that the Renaults have bodywork which contravenes the regulations and gives them an unfair aerodynamic advantage. But a second protest is certainly being lodged because the Renaults and the Ferraris are alleged to have taken on fuel between the race stopping and restarting. Now, it is a fact that the Renault team has already been fined for that, but because it is against the rules, a protest is going in, and that means to say that the official results of the 1983 Belgian Grand Prix are still up in the air. We don't know. Virtually everybody has left the circuit who can give us the detailed information we want, but regrettably, the Belgian Grand Prix ends sadly, and it ends in the political halls.